Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Generation X Nation, aka Dear Gen X. That is my channel, Dear Gen X. Now, with that being said, as always, thank you to everybody who has viewed the video, who has left a comment, who has left the like, click the like button. Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, like and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend, tell a friend. I'm 4 people from my goal of 400, and I need you to do that for me, okay? Now, with that being said, let's do this disclaimer real quick so we can get to the commentary. First things first, everything on my channel is alleged in my opinion and for entertainment purposes only. And I'm going to slow it down. Everything on my channel is alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. That's it. I do my commentary week to week based on the episodes that airs. And again, I understand that every show is edited. We may not see the whole scene play out. So I can only go off of what they show us or what airs on the television station. All right. And we know these Love and Marriage Huntsville um, episodes are way behind. They're a little farther behind than I would like to say. And I don't know how OWN does that, but their scheduling is so off that they're probably about a year behind, to be honest with you. All right. Now, with that being said, we're going to talk about this new episode that just aired Saturday. I probably watched it about 3 times because I want to make sure I didn't miss much. I try to make it quick. I know I say that, but sometimes I get caught up and I have to say certain things. However, I like this episode. To me, it was one of the better episodes because a couple of things that I liked about it. One, it was no toxicity, meaning no Scots, no arguing, no smart mouths, no trying to create drama for no reason, no whining from Tisha, thinking she the queen of Huntsville. None of that. It was just enough drama. It was just enough information, and it was just enough moving parts to keep you interested. And this is what we like. So, Letitia Scott, come to the front. If you are trying to carry the show, Scott 1.0 and 2.0, and y'all want the show to be interesting, take a look at this episode and you see how we had some drama, but how it was handled. We see how we had the conversations with a little humor and it was handled nicely. And we see how we had a little confrontation at the end and how it was handled. We like that. Us grown, mature people. Wasn't no screaming, no hollering, calling people out their names, hitting below the belt. It was very well put together. Kudos, kudos to the producers who produced this particular episode. One more thing I'm gonna say real quick. Like them or love them or don't like them, whatever your issue is. Carlos King, I do appreciate in this episode or this particular season how you're trying to reinvent Destiny and somewhat change the direction of Martell. I like it. I like it. I never thought in a million years that I would be agreeing with Destiny and actually happy to see Martell show up on screen. But it was refreshing to see him. That's what I'm talking about. Good editing, good drama, not enough to make you want to turn away and not like it, but just enough so you could say, you know what, it's interesting enough. I'll keep an eye on what's going on because the Fleshers, they added to the spice too. So I thought it was a very good episode. So we're going to get started real quick. I just wanted to get that out the way, but let me get a sip and then I'll get back to y'all. I had to get my green juice because I didn't eat anything this morning, so I got to get my vegetables in. Now, once again, the episode was scot free, no toxicity. Let's go. So we start out with Chris and Martell at the meetup. They're meeting and having conversation. Martell comes in there, and let me tell you something. Martell was so humorous, and it was refreshing to see him. I'm sorry. But what Martell was doing was sitting there gaslighting Chris. I don't even know if Chris was catching it. So they're sitting there meeting up and talking about what was going on. Um, and Chris said, I met up with the Scots. And that Marceau had the audacity to say, why did I come to him first and tell him about my license being revoked? And Martell like, what? He said, what? Martell, Martell had me cracking up. I'm sorry. Martell was funny. He was light, refreshing, funny. I'm sorry. But anyway, he said, it ain't like we had no business together. He said, whatever business that we were discussing, we did that 2 years ago. So why he need to know that? So he Chris tells Martell, and I looked at him and said, did you tell me about them damn lawsuits? Y'all remember them lawsuits from Zen Garden a couple years ago that everybody had all over social media? And Martell, yeah, that's right. Because you know Martell said, did you let them talk or did you shut them down? Because you know when Maurice and Marceau get to talking, they don't let nobody get a word in. He was like, "Nah, I tore his ass up. I ain't let him keep talking." And Martell was steady pumping the gas. So he said, "Now you know Marceau don't complete any projects." He said, "Yeah, they got that project over there on Jordan Lane, 500 square feet, still ain't done yet." And again, you guys know I say this all the time. Marceau. I love Marceau, but please show us a completed project. Now, I noticed Letitia, this is a side note, been on and off Instagram trying to show little office here they done and, little contact Scott Realty for this, all your realtor needs. And I'm like, Tisha, for what? It's not like y'all going to fulfill any project that y'all do. You've been working on Scott Manor for I don't know how long. By the time they finish Scott Manor, those two little girls will be in college. Okay, your son, your brother Maurice is about to sue you for not finishing a little bistro cafe. Marceau basically said, and Martell confirmed that Marceau only does projects that mean something to him, that he feels important to him. That's why he finished Black. And then Marceau, Martell said, "Is Black finished?" I mean, to me, I thought it was such a funny conversation. But Martell said, once again, like we always say, why is the Scots always up in other people's business, but don't want nobody up in their business? So again, it was a funny conversation, but Martell was studying gaslighting Chris up, talking about the Scots need to stay out of other people's business. They don't finish no projects. Were you in business with him? Did you shut him down while he was talking? I know he didn't say that to you. I can't believe that. Marceau was gaslighting 1.0 on this particular scene. And I was loving every bit of it because Chris was falling for it. Now they turn the conversation to Nell, Chris's wife, and Martell continues to gaslight. So he's like, "Well, how's everything going with you and Nell?" And Chris is like, "Everything is fine, whatever." He said, "Man, I know it got to be a lot. You got the grandkids, you got the daycare, dealing with her father, dealing with your kids. I mean, basically, you can't be adding more to the equation because Chris told him, hey, me and Nell looked at a brick and mortar where she want to do her business called Posh and Pritzy." And then Martell is like, do her business. Well, what about you, man? And then Martell goes in the confessional and he's like, hey, me and Chris was supposed to be getting a clothing line together because, hey, we do dress really nice. And they do. And I think it would be a good idea if Martell and Chris actually got a clothing store together. But Martell is juicing Chris up the whole time. But what about you? You're doing all this stuff for your wife, and she around here telling people that you on her payroll. I said, oh my God, Martell knows how to get stuff started. He said, you are being run raggedy. You should be having he should have his own men's store by now. And if not, you shouldn't be spending money on that. You should be trying to extend the daycare. When I tell you Martell is gassing Chris up, this is gaslighting 101 what Martell is doing. So he said, didn't you help her with the daycare? Because she acts just like the daycare is all hers. And Chris said, yeah, I put into it. I mean, when we first started, I gave up 100 to 150,000. And then he said, for you to do a daycare like that now, that's at least $750,000, a quarter of a meal. So then Martell was like, yeah, man. I mean, she acts like you just on her payroll, like you don't do nothing. Martell, stop. I've never seen Chris Fletcher in the predicament that I'm watching him in now with this conversation with Martell because he's mostly cool and calm and collective. But Martell is giving him something to think about. And I know at some point he gonna bring that back up to Nell. But anyway, Chris said, I just don't get acknowledged for what I'm. He said, she's just not acknowledging and recognizing you for everything you're doing. And Chris kind of said in this confessional, yeah, I don't get the acknowledgement or get the flowers that I need. You let Martell hype you up to coming down to like, Nell ain't giving me my flowers in a confessional. He said, I'm not being acknowledged. I'm doing a lot. And yes, she is, Nell is not giving me, I guess, my props. Martell, leave other people's marriages alone. Now you done ruined yours. Don't be trying to ruin these people's marriage. They got enough going on with the kids and Twan and the revocation of his broker license, but not Martell. Martell wants to make sure everybody going through something. Martell has said, "Hey, I'm not gonna be in this alone. If I'm going through some drama, all y'all gonna be going through some drama." So he is stirring the pot, gaslighting Chris and trying to get that drama between him and Nell started. And I'm thinking down the road, Chris might confront Nell. I don't know. But I kind of think on the low key, Chris act like he a little scared of Nell, a little bit. But I think if she push him too far, then Chris will snap. He gives me that vibe. But anyway, he talks about Twan and Kayla relationship. And then Martell's like, what? Martell act like he's shocked to hear anything at this point. And so he said, basically Chris is telling Martell he don't think Twan's good enough for his daughter. And then I don't think Chris actually acknowledges that Martell and Twan are similar. Because he's like, well, he got teenage kids and he's divorced and, a little older than Kayla. And Martell kind of looked at him, but I think in Martell's mind, he's thinking, hey, that's me. I'm just saying, would you think I'm not good? But he just went off to say, well, maybe he should be dating. I thought he was talking to Destiny. What happened there? He said, well, maybe Destiny is a better fit for him. And then Martell says, I think something kind of low key shade. Destiny just out here doing whatever. She better slow down. She ain't in her 20s no more. She need to find somebody that can meet her halfway. Chris is divorced. She's divorced. I'm not Chris. Twan's divorced. She's divorced. Twan has children. She has children. So he's basically telling you, Destiny, you better go on and get what you can while the getting is good because the clock is ticking. That's basically what Martell is saying. So they kind of end that scene. But what I got out of that whole scene is Martell has now put a battery in Chris' back. And at some point, when Nell starts getting on his nerves, I think all of that is going to come out because Chris is now thinking you around here telling people I'm on your payroll. You around here telling people my daycare. I own this. You're around here talking about my license being revoked and I'm taking care of everything when actuality Chris is helping out with the daycare, handling the issues with the children, which they are grown children, shouldn't be much to handle, helping out with your father and trying to help you get a new store. And he's not doing anything for himself. That's what Martell was trying to tell him. Yet your wife is taking all this credit for it. Chris finally caught on to that when Martell started breaking it down. But Martell was doing it being funny. And I think he was probably reliving some parts of his own life, but deflecting it back to Chris. Martell gonna have Chris go home and cuss Nell out if he don't stop. But I thought it was a great scene. Then we get to Tish and Sharon. And then Sharon was just asking, I'm not Tish. Yeah, Tish, Trisha and Sharon. Sharon starts, asking Trisha about how's everything. They start talking about the drag queen brunch they went to and how Destiny and Letitia was on 10 and how, Nell was supposed to have been taking Destiny home, but she was sitting there eating that chicken. And that chicken looked like it was good and everything. And then as they were going back and forth, somebody insinuated that maybe Destiny had slept with Martell. And they was saying Martell was saying, it's all in the streets. Allegedly, Sharon said it's all over the streets. They're saying that Destiny and Martell had a fling. I really don't believe that, but I understand they're trying to create a storyline. Now, one thing about Sharon, I'm gonna say I'm not a big fan of Sharon, but I will say in this episode her hair looked a lot better because I don't know who be doing Sharon hair and maybe just humidity down there in Alabama, but Sharon hair been looking a mess or it kind of makes her look older than what she is. But this particular episode with her working out with the shorts and everything on, she actually looked really nice, more age appropriate. That hair made her look younger. So Sharon, keep some styles like that in your head because that other stuff you was wearing was making you look like an old woman. I'm sorry, that's just how I see it. Now, they get to talking about Ken. What's going on with Ken? Trish goes into the conversation about they had a conversation. She said she spent the block on Ken. Sharon said, how did you tell him? She said, over the phone, but we squashed it. We decided to start over again and, start fresh. I really want to get into this fitness journey and all of that stuff. And Sharon gave her the best advice, which, again, not a big fan of Sharon, but she was right in this moment. Sharon said, that man ain't trusting you. Now, y'all sitting here trying to get this back together. You done told him you allegedly spent the block. And for us, we think of spent the block mean you done went back to an old ex. So we don't know who this spin the block person is. Is it Marquez? Is it somebody she dated before Ken? Which I find that hard to believe because according to their timeline, Ken was in her DMs while she was still with Marquez. And as Marquez left, then Ken moved in. So who did you spin the block with, Trish? Didn't seem like nobody was in between you and Ken, Marquez and Ken. That's just my question. But hey, who am I? Maybe they skipped somebody along the way. Anyway, Sharon said, Ken may have forgiven you, but there's always going to be a trust issue going forward that he is going to have to work on. And she tried to insinuate her and Ken spent the block. I don't know who Ken spent the block with. Was it the lady that daughter that he raises? Trish is just weird to me. And really, I don't really see a big need for them on the show, but I guess it breaks up the Scots and the other people's dynamics every now and then. They give you a break away from the Scots. I haven't really seen Ken much. But Karen did tell her, I'm glad that you're finally taking accountability for some of your issues and stop blaming everything on Ken. Karen seems to me to be Trisha's somewhat of a friend but therapist at the same time because she's always asking Trish about her personal life and giving her advice on it. I don't know if it's solicited or unsolicited or they just doing it for the camera for conversations or for scenes, but she seemed to be giving her advice on her life all the time. And I'm trying to, in my mind, I'm like, well, Karen, what you got going on in your life? And I'm not saying that she can't help her out or give her advice, but she seems to be way too invested in Ken and Trisha's relationship. Trish is a woman with teenage kids, been married over 10 years with Marquez since high school. I don't really think she need that much advice from you. I think she needs to be at a professional therapist and I think she needs to work to her issues. But, if she like it, we love it. I ain't saying Sharon is giving her the wrong advice. She is 100% correct. Ken ain't trusting you too much, Trish, if you're telling him you spent the block with somebody. Now, he's getting past that because, according to him, he went to Nashville and talked to some nurse. So it may be some guilt there. And that's why he's giving you that pass. But trust and believe me, he got his eye on you, Trish. Okay. Once again, I guess Trish's scenes just fill up some empty space or something because none of it makes sense to me at this point. Moving on, Destiny, Martell, and Nail. Once again, Martell came in for the kill. Another nice little gaslighting spot for him to get that fire going, and I thought it was hilarious. Now, I will say this. Once again, Carlos King, and I'm saying his name because at the end of the day, it is partially his show that he helped produce along with, the ex-cast member, whatever. Reinventing Destiny is just amazing to me because Destiny is becoming more likable, one of the best cast members on the show this particular season. And we seeing so much growth in her that hell, even the most Destiny critics out here are surprised. All right. Now, Destiny Mel and Nell shows up first. They sit down. She invites Destiny to the family dinner. Destiny kind of looking like, why am I at this dinner? But she let it go, said, okay, I'll show up. Martell shows up in his white shirt with the tight buttons, chest out. And again, Martell always look good when he comes in. And I understand why his shirt is tight because apparently he works out a lot. Apparently, got little muscles up there. So, the shirts ain't gonna always fit well when you work out and have muscles and stuff like that. Bodybuilders have problems trying to, having shirts that fit. Now, at the end of the day, Destiny made a comment about his butt, and he said, "Hey, it's supposed to do that." Yeah, that's he's saying that because hey, my chest is done. Got muscles up here, should be tight. Destiny is saying, "Hey, I invite y'all here to close to celebrate my closing." And as they start talking about the closing, Martell is like, hey, I had you and Chris set up a closing for one of my properties and you bailed out on me. And then Chris had this issue, and then Nell chimes in, I didn't even know about this. But was this before the license got revoked? And she started to snap, and then she pulled back. See, that was Martell. He was throwing a little spark out there to get Nell started, and she almost took the bait. You know, so Martell started to say, "Hey, Nell, uh, you don't give Chris a lot of credit for what he do," and that's when Nell went into, well, all of this is being part of being married. He was like, Chris helps you with this, Chris does that. Nell's like, he's supposed to. You talking about he's on your payroll? She said, he is on my payroll. Everything he does, I pay him to do. And then Martell was like, kind of telling Nell, you act like you established this all on your own, like Chris wasn't there to help you. And then Nell had to admit, yes, he did put money in it. Yes, he helped me establish my daycare. And he did save me a few times. And Martell is kind of letting him know, like, hey, this is what I'm saying. You have to make sure that you acknowledge that. And then Nell is like, we're married, we're partnership, but what is mine with business wise, and what is his is his. The daycare is mine only, and his brokerage was his only. And Martell is like, but basically Martell is saying, but together it's both y'all business because y'all married. So legally it is both their businesses. But I think Nell was trying to say that we run them separately. Martell is saying, you know, Destiny is saying Martell knows all of this. Why is he doing this? Martell is saying, well, I'm just asking because I talked to Chris earlier, and basically he's trying to see if both their stories add up. So Chris and Nell have this type of relationship where Chris was doing his own thing with the brokerage and real estate. Nell was doing her own thing with the daycare. And at some point, if they need each other's help, they would help each other out. But they run their businesses individual. Okay, that's what Nell was trying to say. But Martell was saying, y'all married is both y'all business. Technically and legally, it is. But I think she tries to keep them separated. But Nell, he's right. Stop saying he on my payroll. That's still his company. He just allows you to run it because that's what you do and you're expert at it. But at the end of the day, being married is considered community property. So legally, Martell is right. But Martell was just throwing out stuff trying to gaslight Nell, and Nell was falling for it. Now, Destiny did say Martell can't get past his sexist stuff, and he's deflecting from the things that he did wrong in his marriage. And she is exactly right. Martell is still a little sexist. He's still a little old fashioned, thinking what a woman and a man should do. And he should figure by now this kind of thinking and thought process didn't work out for you the first time, and it's not working out for you now, Martell. So you might want to tweak it a little bit. But, Martell being true to Martell, he's going to stand 10 toes down on his beliefs. And who are we to tell him not to? Now, they started talking about the Scots. And he said, hey, how was the conversation with the Scots? Or have y'all met with the Scots? And Nell said, yeah, Tisha and Destiny showed they ass. Nell ain't told nobody about the damn chicken she was eating, but she said Tisha and Destiny showed they ass. So Nell reminds Destiny as she was getting ready to leave, Tisha came and was walking toward her, and she said, but Kimmy stepped in and stopped, and then Destiny said, "What? I don't remember that." She said, "Oh, she could have got me if she wanted to because I walked right by her on her way out. She don't want Detroit Destiny, and that's what I called her a couple episodes ago." I said, y'all gonna bring Detroit Destiny out. We know what Detroit Destiny is about. We've seen her before. Keep her packaged up, Letitia. So she said, I'm still Detroit. So Tisha was going off, telling Destiny. Destiny is repeating back to Martell. Tisha kept saying, you don't defend me in rooms I'm not in. You never defend me. And Martell said, well, I'm sorry. Destiny said, and I told her I do defend you in rooms you're not in. People think you're slow or stupid or whatever she said. It was either slow or something like that. And I tell them that you're not. And Martell is like, yeah, a lot of people be saying she a dodo bird or something like that. And he said, but it's true. Why'd you say anything? And I'm like, Destiny has told Letitia over and over again that I do defend you. But Letitia kept repeating it. In my opinion, it was just for the storyline. So Nell said, well, y'all know how Letitia feels about her husband. And Martell was like, well, didn't she put you in a box, called you that hole in the box, you know? And so, and that's what Destiny was saying. Destiny is like, hey, Letitia wants blind loyalty. And you'd have made up with Nell. I don't know anything about it. And what if I'd have been mad at Nell and they all have made up and then I got an attitude with Nell for no reason? She said, whatever issue Tisha got with other people, that is her issue. And then she said, and she has an issue with you, but what happened at Big D game day or whatever at the park. And Martell was like, she felt like I knew you was going to say that. And Martell said, hell, I didn't even know I was going to say all that. And Martell said, Martell was like, well, you know how they can be. She hit below the belt. Destiny did not like being called the 304 word. She said that messes with my reputation as a businesswoman. You know, I am not married, I'm single. You out here telling people I'm a 304. I don't think Tisha understands that. But I get what Destiny was saying. Like, yes, you married. People are not going to refer to you in that way, but I'm not. And if you keep saying that stuff, people will believe it to be true, you know. So it's just like in the earlier scenes where they were talking and the ladies were at the drag thing, and the one lady said Destiny and Martell kind of messed around. Well, that's all up in the streets, even though allegedly it's not true. So yeah, you can't keep saying that because you got Destiny linked to Martell, you got her linked to Lance, you got her linked to Twan, you got her linked to her ex-husband LeBeric, you got her linked to, she went on a date with Will and then Moses. And it's like, yeah, it does make her look bad. So you got to like chill out with that, Letitia. So I get why Destiny was pissed off about it. So after that, she was saying Tisha needs to apologize. And Destiny said, I already apologized once. I'm not apologizing no more. So she needs to apologize to me. Destiny, good luck getting that apology. Because I think Letitia is going to keep that up to keep the storylines going. I don't think she's ever going to apologize to you. That's just my personal opinion. Um, and then after that, she said she's acting as though I'm, being intimate with all these people. And then that's when Nell chimed in. Well, have you and Lance? And then Destiny said, look, you ain't gonna be all up in my sex life, okay? I'm just gonna tell you just like this. Nobody outside the man I was married to in Huntsville has been anywhere near me. Destiny, I'm glad you cleared all of that up. And now you should never ask for that. That was very, very, very disrespectful. But once again, Destiny is like, hey, I do defend you. People think that you're a little slow or stupid. Martell called her a total bat. I don't know what the hell that is. And she's just saying, hey, stop discrediting my business. I'm a businesswoman and you're putting the wrong labels on me. And I don't like it. Letitia Scott, I hope you heard that. Okay. But once again, Martell accomplished his goal at that meeting, gaslighting Destiny, gaslighting Nell, and throwing the Scots under the bus. I'm loving it. Martell, whatever role they got you playing, bring him in more because it really does add something to the show. I actually enjoy watching him gaslight and set up these storylines because when they leave these meetings, Chris gonna confront Nell at some point. And we already know Destiny and Letitia gonna have something to say to each other at some point. But what I'm not understanding is this: if y'all are so mad at Martell about what happened at the game day, instead of taking out on Destiny, why ain't y'all getting in Martell's grill? Y'all scared of Martell. Because the one or two times y'all tried it and he started dropping y'all secrets, y'all pulled back real quick. Letitia is quick to go to Destiny. You knew what Martell was going to say. Why ain't you going to Martell? Because Martell said it all. And every time Martell comes in your presence, you get up and walk away. You don't even want to conversate with him. And then when Martell and Marceau sits down, Marceau act like he don't want to say much. And then Maurice is always trying to be the referee and keep it a buck. Oh, let's keep it quiet. We don't have to go to. So Martell must got a lot of dirt on them. Martell, we gonna need you to release the Kraken at some point. We need to know what's really going on because Martell is pissed and he's playing it cool. But he's like, I am not going to be the only one catching strays on this show no more. You come for me, I'm coming for you. Y'all are scared of Martell. You don't want to film with Martell because you know that he has a plethora of information on y'all. And he's waiting to release it. And all it's going to take is one little spark. Y'all piss him off. He going to tell it all. But let's move on. But anyway, great scene. Nell, Martell, and Destiny. Great scene. I loved it. I loved it. I liked the little bit of humor we got out of it, the little laughter. It lightened up the mood on the show a lot. And that's why I said we didn't have no toxicity on the show, this particular episode. And it was so refreshing. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on. So now the Fletchers are having their dinner. Nell is in the kitchen. All the kids are there. They're like, what's going on? You got the niece Kiki. You got Chris Jr. You got Lance. You got Kayla. And then Twan comes over because they're like, it's a lot of food just for us. Who's all coming? And Nell's like, oh, maybe some surprises. They laughing. Doorbell ring. Here comes Twan. Everybody's looking. Twan comes in. He gives everybody a hug. They looking all nervous. I'm like, why are y'all so nervous? Twan's y'all god brother. Y'all used to seeing him. So why y'all so nervous? Then the doorbell rings again. Destiny's comes in and Kiki says, I know you effing lying. So now it's like, we got all these people in here. What is going on? So now Kayla's feeling a certain way, right? Destiny comes in, hugs everybody, says hi to everybody, hugs Kayla. Kayla's like, hi, how you doing? And then Kayla whole demeanor changes to me. It just changes to me. And then one of Twan's face, I think one of the boys, I don't know if it was Chris or Lance, but one of them said something under their breath. This is just messy. So they already knew this was going to be a whole messy situation. And then the other one said, what the hell is this when Destiny came in? So everybody knew drama was about to happen. Okay. And I felt like Kayla just developed out of nowhere. As soon as Destiny walked in the door, an unnecessary attitude. Um, so after that, everybody's grabbing their food, speaking to everybody. So they call Destiny in for a sit down and they want to kind of resolve some issues, I guess working on timelines of who dated who when. Let me just say this. The timelines I'm looking at, well, let's just get back to this. Okay, so they sit down, they start asking Destiny what was her deal with her and Twan. Destiny was kind of irritated, like, why they got me up in this mess? I don't want no parts of it. So I'm happy Destiny is kind of excusing herself from this. But they asking her like when was the last time they went out? Because she said they went out a couple weeks ago, resolved some issues, everything was closed. And then Chris was like, well, he's supposedly talking to my daughter. And I'm just trying to make sure these timelines don't pass because we're friends. My daughter's involved. He's involved. You dated him. So I get why they were concerned because Destiny has ties to Lance and Twan, and now their daughter has ties to Twan. And I'm going to say what I want to say after I finish this because this is just weird to me in Huntsville, but we're going to keep it a buck so I can stay on track. Destiny felt a little bit interrogated, and I think she just wanted to leave at this point. She was very polite. She answered the questions that they asked her. So then they flipped back over to the kids in the kitchen. And then Kayla said, I need to know what is going on and who told the parents before I had a chance to tell them. Twan mentioned something about him and Destiny going on a brunch date, and Kayla whole demeanor like brunch. What you mean date? And he was like, no, we were just chilling, resolving some things. I mean, we both adults, this and that. Chilling about what? Kayla. Either you and Twan are boyfriend and girlfriend or seeing each other exclusively or you're not. Because it seems to me that you are very developing feelings or possibly in love with Twan, and Twan over here just chilling because that's all he keeps saying. But you're covering up, telling everybody we just chilling, we cool. But the minute he mentioned another girl, you get jealous. Your feelings are deeper than you telling people. Okay? He said they were just hanging out and talking. He said we are two grown people and we wanted to know, what was going on in our relationship, but we good. And Destiny was in the other room saying, I don't know what's going on, but leave me out of the mess. And that's when Destiny was ready to hit the dope. So then they back in the kitchen with Kayla, and she talking about what she bumped into me, kind of a nice, nasty bump. No, she didn't, Kayla. You up here trying to create some drama in the storyline for absolutely no reason. We seen it. They replayed it. That's not what Destiny did. Y'all are trying your best to get at Destiny when you need to be over there getting at Letitia Scott or somebody. Okay, so Destiny just told Neldon, this has nothing to do with me. I don't care about what they got going on. I wish them the best. So Twan decides, let me get out of here. So Twan gets up and says, hey, it's been real. I got to head to work. He tried to sneak out. But Chris caught his behind and said, oh, Twan, let's go have a conversation. They go outside. He asked him, hey, what is going on with you and Kayla? Twan said, ain't nothing going on. We just kind of in an open relationship. We're just casual. And then he said, well, casual dating. And Kayla is open to, talk to anybody if she want to, that kind of crap. I don't think Kayla think y'all casual dating. Even though you're saying that, you keep saying you're in an open relationship, and Kayla's mad at Destiny thinking she bumped into her over you. And this is what I was saying I was going to save to later. There's no reason that Destiny, at her big grown age of damn near 40, is up here trying to argue with you, Kayla, you in your 20s. Destiny just not doing that. I can tell you that right now. You tried to create something out of nothing. Destiny said, hey, cutie, hey, beautiful, and elbowed you, and she didn't mean nothing by it. You tried to make something out of it. Twan is telling you we're just chilling. It's casual. Hey, I did go on a date with Destiny a couple weeks ago to make some closure or whatever it was in their relationship. And then you over here acting jealous, but you said we're just chilling, finding things, talking things out. But y'all have been on more than one date. Stop playing. And you are too deep into this, because if it was just casual, you wouldn't be so upset with Destiny at that moment. The minute she came in, your demeanor changed. You start acting a little jealous. You seemed like you had an issue with Destiny. And then you tried to make an issue where there was none there. And now you're creating drama when it doesn't need to be. You are in love with Twan, or at least deeply infatuated with him, and you think in your brain y'all in a relationship, and Twan is over here just chilling. And I believe in my heart of hearts, Destiny as a 40-year-old is not trying to compete with no 20-year-old for no dude. If that's what if he wants to date you, go right ahead. Now, he said it was nothing exclusive. You guys vibe because y'all the same zodiac sign. Y'all casual dating. Y'all just chilling. And you are not trying to get too deep because you're not trying to hurt anybody. This is what Twan told your dad. Okay? This is what Twan told your dad. He said, well, I'm glad about that because I want to make sure that's my daughter and she doesn't get hurt. Okay? So then after this conversation, I guess Twan leaves. They all come into the living room and sit down. And then Kayla wants to confront Destiny in front of her mom and everybody. Well, you bumped into me. And Destiny said, I did? She said, oh, I probably just spoke to you. No, you had already spoke to me. Then you turned around and bumped into me again. She said, hey, all I said was, how you doing, cutie, whatever. She's trying to create a beef. And I will give Destiny her credit. When Destiny said, it ain't like that. I wish y'all the best. I'm not arguing with you. Gave her a hug, called her beautiful, and she excused herself out of there. And I thought that was good. Because Destiny is like, keep me out of this mess. I am too old and grown to be arguing with a 20-year-old over a dude divorced with two teenage kids. I hear you, Destiny. I hear you loud and clear. Again, I like the reinvention of Destiny. She's not angry. She's not going off, but she still lets you know Detroit Destiny is still available if needed. Now, after Destiny leave, Lance and everybody has an issue. They're talking about Destiny in private. Now, Lance, you need to be quiet. I think you mad because Destiny just wasn't going to roll with you because you had a baby while you was allegedly dating her. So I don't blame her. I think you was a little mad that Twan pulled her from you and now Twan dating your sister. But the key to all of this is all of y'all knew Twan apparently and Kayla was kicking it because she said, who told them before I had a chance? Now, Lance finally confessed, well, hey, they always asking what Chris doing, what I'm doing, what Chris doing. So I'm like, hey, what is Kayla doing? So Kayla felt like Lance was the one who said something to the parents when it was actually Destiny and Twan. Twan asked Destiny at the date, have you heard any rumors about me? Have you heard anything about me and Kayla? And there was a reason he popped that up because he wasn't a rumor. You were actually dating Kayla. You was checking the temperature to see who knew about it. And Destiny said no. Then Destiny came to Nell and said, hey, I hear Twan maybe dating Kayla. That's what he asked me. Did I hear any rumors about that? And then Nell came to your daddy and said that. Your siblings didn't snitch you out. Your boy snitched you out, Kayla. And I'm hoping as you watch these episodes, you go back and apologize to your siblings and leave Destiny the hell alone. Because she told Swan, we good. We good. We can work out whatever, but we good. Now, another question I got, and maybe it's just me, is the only men in town are the men filming for Love and Marriage Huntsville? Because Kayla, how are you dating your god brother? There's no other guy who's older than you with two teenage kids. There's no other guys in town. This little circle, the Destiny, going out with Will, because in the next episode, she's sitting there with Will and Trisha and Ken. Y'all can't find no other people to get approved to bring on the show for a date. This is crazy. This is crazy. Now, and this is the last take on this, and then I'll close out with the Nell and the Destiny thing. Kayla said, who told? Kayla said last episode she didn't know Twan knew her brother. Kayla act like she didn't know anything about Twan being her parents' godson. In this episode, Lance said, and I quote, "We have been friends for a long time. I brought Twan around the family and introduced him to everybody." So who's lying? You guys got to be careful when y'all setting these things up on these shows, because if I am mistaken, either earlier on the show or either last episode, I'm almost certain, and I'll go back and look at it, but if memory serves me correctly, Nell and Chris said they have been knowing Twan since like Lance was in school. I can't remember if they said elementary or junior high, but they met him when Lance was in school. He was Lance's good friend. He came around a lot and they adopted him as their godson. Now, if Lance in the house with you, Kayla, even though you're younger than Lance, at some point you had to have seen him with Twan because they've been best friends since high school. So you had to see them together at some point. So how are you going to play in our face and say, well, when I met him when I was bartending and I didn't know he knew my brother? That to me was a straight up lie. Go back and look at the episodes when Nell and Chris Fletcher are going down the timelines of how long they've known Twan, how long he's been around their son Lance, how they adopted him as their godson. Then go back and listen to what Lance said in this episode, that I brought Twan around the family and introduced him to everybody. But Kayla said when they questioned her about Twan, I met him when I was bartending and I didn't know he knew Lance or knew anybody. That was a lie. Now watch your daughter, because she is already showing us she has a tendency to not be truthful. I caught all of that. And anybody listening good to the show should have caught it all too. Just my opinion. Okay. That girl, it's crazy. I'm just trying to figure out why y'all can't date outside y'all circle. So anyway, they all sit in the living room and had a conversation. And then Lance says, now I got to keep an eye on Twan because Twan and Destiny left at the same time. He said, wait a minute, Destiny left? Said she had a date and Twan left? And then Kayla chimed in, he's going to work. That's what he told you, Kayla. Because he also told your dad out there, y'all just chilling, having casual datings, and he ain't trying to hurt you. You're sitting in the living room clocking where he at and what he doing. You in a relationship, Twan ain't. Hopefully you see this episode and get that clue, and maybe y'all in a relationship now, but he was not in a relationship with you on this day in that moment. That's all I'm saying. And now last but not least, Tisha, I'm sorry, Destiny and Nell sit together, and Destiny just basically let Nell know, I did not appreciate you bringing me to the family house, bringing me into your drama. I don't want no parts of that. Leave me out of it. She said, you should have been more considerate when you brought me into that. She said, for the people that's in the group, that I guess she said it's like 10, at least 10 people on one person, which is myself, which is Destiny. So Destiny felt like everybody in the house was looking at her. She felt signaled out. And Nell is just trying to tell her, I just want to make sure it's cleared up what was going on because my daughter is in a relationship with this guy and we want to make sure there's no animosity. But it was just the way she came at it. And I guess Destiny is telling Nell, you should have been a little bit more considerate. And she just said, when she got there, she didn't like what was going on, and that is why she left, because she did feel like she was in the hot seat. And Nell, I'm sorry, Destiny was in the hot seat. Let's just keep it a buck. She was. So Destiny excused herself properly. I appreciate that. And then her and Nell kind of went back and forth in disagreement of how it went down. And then she started something about asking her about did she bump Kayla? And Nell was and Destiny is like, I'm not even doing this. She, you know, doggone well, she ain't tried nothing with your daughter now. She said, well, I'm just gonna have to ask Kayla because that's what she said. Don't create no storyline like that now. I do not want to see Destiny and Kayla going at it. Destiny is almost 40 years old. Kayla's in his 20s. We know you're not gonna let nobody check your daughter, and you and Destiny end up on the wrong side of the fence. And I don't want that because y'all have a decent relationship. Stop doing that. Now, according to Destiny, once again, she felt ganged up. But remember, Destiny, y'all ganged up on your former castmate, but I'm gonna leave that alone. So how you feeling now is probably how she feeling. I don't know if y'all ever make up again, but you might want to at least acknowledge that, damn, I now see what she was going through. That's you and Martell. Because now y'all going without her, the same stuff y'all put her through, y'all kind of feeling now and from the same people. But I digress. All right. But that's pretty much my wrap up of Love and Marriage Huntsville. I thought it was an excellent episode. Like I said, no toxicity, no Scott's 1.0 or 2.0. Now, y'all see how the episode flowed without them? I mean, they can drop in every now and then, but nobody, Tisha, please, if you don't hear nothing else, listen to what these commentators are going to be saying about you the rest of the week or this episode the rest of the week. And I can guarantee you, most people like the episode. They like how Martell came in, and people don't even care for Martell, but we like what he was doing, a little gaslighting here and there. That's what we're here for. We liked how Destiny was mature enough to walk away from certain incidents, but still stand her ground when she needed to without disrespecting and hitting below the belt. We like how she minded her own business, stayed out of other people's business. You know, that little catty high school stuff that you're doing on the show, the scenes you're setting up, you and Kimmy, it's not working. We even appreciated Tish's little conversation, and we know Tish is a pathological liar. Ken, hear me good. Tish is a pathological liar. I repeat, Tish, not Trisha, I'm calling her Tish. Trisha is a pathological liar. Trisha changes her story every episode. Be weary of her. And I see now why Marquez probably just gave up and walked away. He probably couldn't take deciphering her lies every day for the last 10 years. It probably drove him nuts. And then instead of telling everybody how much she lies, she made Marquez look like the bad guy. He took it under the chin and said, F it, I'll take the L. I'm out of here. Because that lady is a pathological liar, and I can't say it enough. Trish, just tell the truth. All right? Tell the truth. Now, next episode, you're going to see Tisha and Marceau talking. And as always, Marceau is chewing her out like she a child. She got all that smoke with that little red fire braid coming down for Destiny, getting up out of her seat, walking over there, Kimmy getting in between. I'm gonna do this and that. And then Marceau just standing here. You did what? You said what? We don't do that. That ain't what we do. I done told you about chewing her out like she a child. I'm like, well, where's the smoke for Marceau? You don't even raise your voice a little bit with him. Well, don't talk to me. No, you don't say anything. He talking to you like a child. You don't even say, Marceau, I'm not a child, and I have my own opinion. You don't say anything. You be like, oh, okay. But you got all that smoke for Destiny. And I'm not saying disrespect your husband, but girl, go sit down somewhere. Then they show Trish, Ken, Destiny, and Will. And then she talks about telling everybody about spinning the block conversation with the Scott sisters, and Will's looking crazy. Ken just sitting there. I'm like, there she go lying again. And then they go Kimmy and Maurice, minding somebody else's business, sitting there telling Maurice, well, she said she spent the block and she was excited about it. There go Kimmy adding her little sauce to stuff, just like she added the sauce to what she told Destiny. Tisha, what Destiny said, and caused them to argue. She added that sauce, and then they go and show the last scene that's coming on next week, where they're all in there together, and then Trisha, with her pathological lying behind, says, "I didn't mean spin the block sexually." Girl, go sit down. We tired of you at this point, and this is why I say we can live with or without Trisha. But Trisha, you got to stop lying. You tell the truth. you may feel free doing that. I don't know. Okay, back to Zen. And that is my take. I love and marriage Huntsville. It was a great episode to me. Like I said, there was some funny moments. I love Martell coming back in. I said I appreciate Carlos King and the producers trying to reinvent Martell and Destiny. And I know some of y'all are out there who are determined to hate Destiny and Martell and never like them ever again. I'm not saying I love them. I'm not saying I like it. I'm saying I do my commentary based on each episode. And in this episode, I got to give him his props. Martell shine. He threw just enough fire out there to spark some stuff and get it going. He may be in the next episode, I don't know, but I know the next episode, a lot of stuff that he said and the little gaslighting that he did and putting in people's heads, it's going to come out in the next couple episodes. So kudos to you, Martell, for driving this show along. Kudos to Destiny for remaining cool. And thank God we finally got a scot-free show. And with that being said, this is Gen X Nation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you think. 4 people from 500. I definitely appreciate it. And I'll catch y'all on the next round. I'm about to go watch these housewives of the ATL and see what they got going on down there in the DFW, Dallas Fort Worth. Okay? And with that, you guys go and have a great rest of your day. And as always, just Gen X Nation, peace. And I'm out.